Okay, Andy Havens here. We are live. I've got the stationary mic, and we got a pretty good crowd here. We are at the VCDL members meeting. We're just going to get settled in. It doesn't look like we're going to start on time, but that's okay. And then again, maybe we will. Looks like the president is getting up and moving around. So we'll see what happens. And then again, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't want to be followed everywhere he goes. We'll give it a shot. Anyways, don't know how we're going to get any audio on this with all the din, but we will see what happens.
But I will say, just
Very hard to see. The other one got muted Yes, sir. I'm trying. Andy Havens, please meet you, sir. I got the mic. I'm going to point my center. Are you going to be sitting there, sir? Okay, well, I'm going to be pointing that up there. I'm like now. I've got that, and I've also joined the. So trying to do that. I'm trying to get this where it'll get to see where he's going to be, and we can go from there. Oh, my name's Andy.
I'm Jill.
Jill.
Happy birthday.
Hey, Jill.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is my wife, Colleen.
Hi, Colleen.
Are you the one that got talking about adding her to the members? Because I put mine on, and the site was a little bit.
Oh, if you're talking about membership, that's probably Sandy.
Yeah, I thought you
Sandy, yeah. I run the academy end of things, and since I'm from this area, they kind of
I
like.
got to learn more about the academy. Maybe we can do a little talk about that.
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
All right, that would be good.
That would be fun.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Are y'all from originally?
I'm from originally I'm from New York. She's originally from Central New York, but we've been down here about 15 years.
Okay.
So yeah, we're from Peaceville.
Oh, Peaceville? Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, well, welcome to Danville. or Ringgold. But anytime, yeah. I don't know. Usually, sometimes I teach classes here, and they will let me unplug some of the artwork. They probably do that. Anyway, if y'all need to move up, I can hold that booth right there. I mean, I'd hate for y'all to get.
That might be a better place to do. I can move without actually disrupting too much.
Yeah, I just didn't want y'all. If y'all were comfortable where you were,
I just want to get the best.
Okay.
I want to get the best we can.
Well, then that's y'all's other booth. How about that? We're just
I may not even need that. Let's hold off the plug it. Okay. You just grab that. Watch that thing is loaded. Yeah.
It just comes plain and you can add anything that you like to it. Like regular like cheeseburger tacos, not safe market.
That could be all right for you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just lettuce and tomato, mayonnaise on it.
She said we'd be happier out for you guys.
Okay. What's in that?
says that is correct. The closer you are to your house.
Look at that, man. This you came prepared. Thank you.
Here, I can set that up here for you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm very friendly.
Was that a great thing?
Okay.
So I guess you got. We discovered it sort of.
We started shortly.
Right?
Okay, that'd be fine. I'm just right now. I'm just kind of holding the phone and I'm kind of streaming anyways. But only because I said I'd come on at 2.
Oh,
And when I
right.
say I come on at 2, then I come on at 2.
Well, yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, even though I'll give you fair warning. Chances are nobody's watching this. Okay.
Well, it's a good drive, right?
But I'm getting some practice in.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because we get asked sometimes, if we stream our live meetings and we don't, it's not that we don't have an objection to it, we just not really set up to do it. We
Yeah.
do the once a month online meetings for the people from everywhere.
Well, this is kind of what I'm at. This is kind of the sort of thing I'm after is getting more online participation. And one of the things I love about VCDL is that you are really very grassroots organization. Okay, and you built that, and it's really that's what we need. That's what we need, not only in Virginia but in the entire nation.
Yeah,
We need
we need to be involved.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm after here. That's why I got the Facebook. I think the Facebook is more local than say YouTube. I'm also doing YouTube, but I'm focusing more on the Facebook. I'm trying to bring in local, and I'm trying to bring in some discussion here. That's the whole point of all that. Maybe I can have you sometime on a Sunday night. I'm doing the regular program Sunday 6 to 8. We can stream now.
Yeah, I can probably.
We can. We're not streaming, but we can do that remotely wherever we happen to be.
Okay.
All right, awesome.
Well, send me an email.
Sounds perfect.
Are you doing this?
I'm trying, yeah, I'm trying.
All right, I have remote lights, if
Oh, wow.
I don't
know where I
keep
put
it
a
on.
minute.
Yeah.
I got the
I'm happy.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Y'all doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing great. And the VCDL is absolutely without a doubt. The most they're really active. I ran into a gun shop, blah, blah, blah. Well,
I gather you have some impact.
I may or may not.
The other thing I have is I have a 22 revolver.
You're welcome.
And I got my dad's shot.
Wow.
I'm not sure how valuable it
Here's my personal position on that. Even though it is the preservation of the
right now.
Yeah, we'll talk about what NRA is.
I don't know.
I might not talk about it. I didn't want
I don't know what happened there. By the way, I'm sitting by the phone. Oh, yeah, by the phone. Sitting by the mic. Now maybe it gets me. Just kind of getting around here and just waiting for everything to get underway. And almost looks like we're waiting. Yes, I think we're waiting on the president. Isn't that typically waiting on the president? I'm just kidding. Anyways, we're going on here while again, so I think they'll get started right away.
Yeah, you don't mind. I'll just speak on. I'm sure you're around most of the legislation. I can speak on
How you do that is to make them pro. So they understand that it isn't like firearms.
You can't be doing this without a sticker. You can't, no. You gotta have a sticker, and I feel naked without a sticker.
There you go. Set a good example.
There you go. This is the collector's item right here. It's really valuable. Priceless.
That's right.
Yeah. Here, we have a fake
Sorry? There you go.
That's where my stuff is.
I agree.
The nicer the clothes, the more apt I am to wear the food.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that idea. Grabbing. Nice catch.
I held on that.
Yeah. I don't know if you had a chance to meet our new
Just here.
I know you work but I'm sure it'll come next session or something before that. Each other on.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna fire up the please feel free. So, yeah, we rotate our meetings this time. Larry, this here again. It's nice to be able to bring the message and have meetings around this thing. In fact, otherwise, some people will never even think to participate. Historically, our meetings have been in Northern Virginia, because that's where originally the organization formed back in 1994. And back then, it was called the Northern Virginia Citizens Participation. But within a couple of years, it was obvious that it needed to be all of Virginia. They incorporated formally and all of that stuff. And we still hold meetings up there quarterly. And then we move around the state the rest. I'm not sure where we're going to be next month, but yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out. It's an interesting time in Virginia right now. I can tell you that all eyes are focused on this state, especially on the gun organizations. In fact, I think it's interesting. I think the gun controllers in the General Assembly maybe they had this calculation when they decided Virginia would be a place to hit next with all of this stuff, and especially in the volume they have. So now we filed our lawsuit at the state level finding the assault weapon ban. And I'm not, I'm going to do the air quotes. We don't actually in Virginia law, it's the assault firearm. That's the law. That's the way they put it in there. Even though it's not baloney, but there it is. We put our assault firearm and the carry of assault firearms lawsuit in Friday, and it's going at state level. So we're not gonna go with the Second Amendment argument. We don't need to. We'll go with Article 1, Section 13 of the Virginia Constitution. It says that a well-regulated militia consisting of a body of people. So right there, it spells out who the militia is, if you have any doubt. The right of the people, not the right of the militia, but the right of the people to keep their arms shall not be infringed. Okay, so it's all crystal clear. We're going to go. We end up with the Virginia Supreme Court, but we're going to be battling it here in Virginia. The NRA, and we've got a representative here, Andrew. We'll talk a little later. They and several other organizations came in at the same time, and they're going federal. Okay, which means I think they've got it what's called the docket docket. It's going to get heard pretty quickly somewhere on the eastern part of the state. That part of the state's going to go, sorry, the Fourth Circuit already said assault weapons are perfectly banned or perfectly legal to have assault because they did that in Maryland because their assault weapon bans. The Fourth Circuit is probably worse than California's Ninth Circuit is. So they went along and said, yeah, this assault weapon ban in Maryland is perfectly legal. So I expect the NRA and the other groups to lose that battle too, but they know that. They know they're going to go in and ban. The lower courts are sorry, my hands are tied. The Fourth Circuit's already spoken, so no, that ban is fine. And so then they appeal to the Fourth Circuit on bond. Fourth Circuit says, hey, we've already ruled on this. This thing is, so then where's the next step? Supreme Court. All right. Now, there's already some assault weapon bans in the Supreme Court. What's interesting from the federal level is that the Trump administration is taking great interest in this, and they want the Supreme Court to take up an assault weapon ban case. They want this. Now, if the administration is pushing the Supreme Court, that may increase the chances that they'll actually finally act on hearing an assault weapon ban case. So that's it there. We're going state level. Then we have the DOJ, Department of Justice, under Harvey Dillon, who I dropped something on the X platform for her. I would see if she'll come on to our monthly meeting. I'll hold a separate special online monthly meeting if she decides to come on. I think we would have a lot of people who love to hear her, she's kind of a rock star, right? A rock star. They're gonna now, one lawyer, believes that they're gonna come from a different angle. We're all gun organizations. They're coming at being the government, they're coming at from a different angle, but they won't be able to file, he doesn't think, until July 1. Now, again, I've not confirmed any of this with that. You might say, well, why are they waiting until July 1? Because I think the angle the Department of Justice is gonna come at is to say, now that you can enforce this law, and this law is being enforced, that's the problem. You're enforcing an unconstitutional law, and we're going to, until it's enforced, I think the angle they want to come from is they can't do it yet, so they have to sit back a little bit. That's okay. Meanwhile, we'll be trying to get, and the NRA, I'm sure at the federal level, but we may have better luck at this, we'll see. We're trying to at least get an injunction, a temporary injunction, until the law is finally settled. And that way, it doesn't go into effect. July 1 will roll around, nothing will change. We'll still be able to buy our ARs and buy our higher capacity, or even low capacity magazines without a problem. We'll see. There's certainly a lot of misinformation out there. This particular session on this particular session, what actually passed. This is why it's important. How do these laws? There's so much bad information. I was going to buy is an instructor. And he got his information from somewhere else, and they said, well, yeah, you can't carry any handgun after July 1 if it could potentially accept a magazine that would hold more than 15 rounds. That's not true. It was set up like that. That was the governor tried to slip that in, but the General Assembly amazingly threw that away, which helped all of us. I don't like what was passed, but the General Assembly toned it down to what it could have been. I mean, it's really wild, and she signed the bill. So I was correcting him. I said, no, it's very important you understand that come July 1, if you're carrying a regular handgun, like I've got, 365 AX2 Legion on right now, 17 rounds, standard capacity. I'm going to continue to carry that gun with a 17-round magazine, another 17 on my hip. And if you've got higher capacity, it doesn't matter. You can carry whatever you want as long as you own those magazines before July 1. And another delegate was going to put up a video. Fortunately, he checked with me before he actually posted it. He said he wanted me to look at it. What I'm saying is right, and it wasn't. And it was a good video. Because they had, I watched video. They had the delegate there, and the gun dealer had pre-filled XD on the counter, so this won't be available after July 1. As soon as I saw that, I called the delegate, cancel that. That's not true. You can still be able to buy the same handguns, the normal handguns, regardless. It's just that they don't come with more than 15 round magazines. So that if you bought one of these, they're going on my hip, it's going to come with a 10 round magazine, 2 10 round magazines instead of 2 70. But if you've already bought your magazines for it, you just take the 10 round, cost them $400, which is 17, and you carry it. Because you already own them. So I'm just saying, really, this is an interesting time with a lot of confusion. Our goal is to prevent you guys from not caring because you didn't understand the law or there was another interpretation. I mean, I get a lot of times people before get the video. Look what I just saw on the internet. The Supreme Court voted 90-0 and everything. I'm going, okay, who posted that video? That's usually an AI. If you look, AI is very good. But if you look carefully, you can determine that's not really a human. The way the eyes, the background, all that you look for. And it's like, yes, no giveaways on those things. For one, they usually don't look at the bill or the law that they're talking about. They talk in generalities and don't give you specifics. You can even double check. Other times you just flat out want interpretation, I warn people, don't, you know, if you're gonna go up on the internet and especially YouTube and try to learn what's going on with the Supreme Court, put the video out. You know, if it's VCDL, if it's LA, if it's PLA, if it's Four Boxes Diner, if it's Washington Gun Law, these people, they're lawyers that are actually looking at this stuff, put up credible information. That's fine. They didn't even believe it, but other than that, you better use a grain of salt and don't assume what you've heard is at all correct.
So Philip, one question that we've been getting a lot is, will people still be able to get an upper receiver or a lower receiver or buy a threaded barrel that is within a firearm already?
And the answer to that is yes. Upper receiver is not a firearm.
And they didn't ban any of this. And the firearm itself.
Right, you buy a threaded barrel. It's just, in fact, the good thing again, by detailing what the government wanted, we can also have a threaded barrel on your regular handgun carry. So you can have this gun, the threaded barrel, and the 17-round magazine that can fly on your flying. And then actually, in this case, I don't know if there'd be a problem with taking down the one thread and buying a threaded barrel for putting it on. I think that is probably going to take us the end of it. But you'll be able to buy, they're not firearms, neither is the barrel of a firearm or other parts. The question comes, you're not allowed to manufacture a assault firearm after July 1. So if you bought a roller that's not populated, you might at least want to make something that's an assault firearm by definition before July 1. Therefore, you've already got it. It's already an assault firearm, 95 inch and upper trailer, put it up where you didn't have. It's a bunch of song and dance. I'm hoping that we can get a say, and we don't really have to worry about this, but we don't know. You never know what the court system, how things are going to go. I kind of hate going to think my faith into the courts, but we have no choice. So I recommend, again, if you want to hire capacity magazines for your gun, if you got a bunch upstairs, the best thing like that, but a big 5 more if you need them. Assume that you're going to be a drought in 2 or 3 years. Maybe they're not. All the guys are getting extra magazines. Oh, that's horrible. Right? So if you want an assault firearm, now's the time to buy. I went and I bought we definitely not qualified. E365 plus greater kind of thing. It's one of these with the magazine that looks in the front and goes of course to the pistol, but it's got 9 rings that pops out. It looks pretty big for 51 rounds. I knew that this was the time to buy it, so I did the pulling and paid $1,700 and bought one of them, and I love it. Get what you want now. This again, if it turns out we could stay and all this is for nothing, oh well. But if you don't get that stay, you're going to really wish you had bought whatever you want. So then we have the other laws. That was the big focus because that was the assault weapon was the hardest hitting. That's the one that had the most national press. And that was, by the way, for years we've been warning hunters. Hunters, you're not exempt from this stuff. You need to get out and vote. You think you're not coming for that sniper rifle that you used to shoot deer with, or that shotgun that sprays pellets of death all directions. They're going to come for that. And indeed, this assault weapon ban certain shotguns. If you've got any size magazine that's removable, you got an assault shotgun. Okay? You got all kinds of things that they put in there. Only collapsible, only stuff. You know, just the shotgun will fit you because you're a man as small as female today. That means you got a small shotgun because you have a collapsible or a folding or telescopic stuff. That's how bad that one is. So that's gonna, hundreds years ago, who was hunt with an AR-15? That all changed. Now a lot of them love that. You can't hunt deer with it, but you can hunt all kinds of other things. Yes. And so then now they're going to have that. So I'm more focused. On my agenda at some point is to go speak to some of these hunting clubs and try to get the hunters away. Because they can be a huge asset. There's so many countries. If they kick in, it could be a pretty good shape. We also have something else that we have to investigate. I'm not exactly sure how we'll investigate, or how significant it is. They made it the reciprocity without something that we're no longer going to honor every state's permits. It's going to be up to the Attorney General, who, is not trying to fantasize about murdering people, will get to decide if another state's laws are close enough to ours and to honor their permits. But I think people coming to Virginia, there are going to be a lot of people who won't be able to carry here anymore unless they get a Virginian non-resident permit. That may be their only option. We'll see. For us, I don't know how big of a deal it's going to be because, well, we've been trying to get Virginia to be permitless carry state. We just have the wrong legislature. We did have the right legislature, there's the a committee chair that wanted to build the tax. This was back, we could have actually gotten it early. We were one of the earliest options. Republicans controlled everything, but this one Northern Virginia Republican was afraid to pass something like that. He was afraid to lose regular Civic carriers to pass something bad out. So he blocked it. So here we are, all these years later, 29 other states have blown by us and put in permitless carry. They some call it constitutional carry. We don't, because to us, constitutional carry would say, I can carry everywhere and offer the police officer to carry everywhere. Till we have that, we're virtually in maybe 2 or 3 places in the country. That's not constitutional carry yet, but it shall not be infringed, right? So this is permanently carry. But what this was, the reason I'm bringing this up is a whole lot of states that we used to count on reciprocity with are permitless carry. Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, if you're going to any of those states. North Carolina is like we are now about to not be. North Carolina honors all permits, so they're going to honor our permit. South Carolina is a constitutional carry state. Florida is a constitutional carry. So going south are a good thing. Pennsylvania could be a problem. But you get a Pennsylvania permit without too much trouble. You can do it. You can do the main part online, and then you do it right up there to pick it up. But it actually goes faster. They've got this done pretty well up there. Other states, you're still stuck having to get their permit, like Connecticut. I've got a Connecticut permit, even though I've only been up there once.
Hey, Phil?
Yeah.
Just don't go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adirondacks in the fall.
One big change on the carry permit law is that if you are a Virginia resident and you don't have a Virginia permit, but you have an out-of-state permit, they will not recognize the out-of-state permit, even if we have reciprocity with that state.
You have to have a Virginia permit to carry in Virginia.
If you're a Virginia resident, you have to have a Virginia concealed handgun permit to carry in Virginia. They will not honor another state's permit if you are a Virginia resident. So if you move here from another state that even if we recognize that state's permit, you can't carry until you apply for your permit.
Now, yeah, on that situation, we don't know when it's going to take effect. The way they wrote that particular bill, and at the end there, often they'll put information about when this bill takes effect, and it's not July 1. There are things called emergency bills, which take effect immediately when there's kind of a government. It's extremely rare. After they tried to pull the universal background check. We'll talk about that tonight. Then there are other times the bill is paid out. So they take the next July, or this December, or January 1. Well, the way they did the reciprocity bill is like that. I look at it and I go, okay, starting July 1, the Attorney General will start working on what states' laws are close enough to Virginia to honor their permits. Then, I guess they look at those states And by December 1, any state that's not in compliance, doesn't match our criteria, which I don't know if any of these things is doing that brief period. Then the Attorney General is to remove reciprocity, remove any agreements that we've got when we honor that particular state. And then on July 1 of next year, the bill takes effect, which made no sense to me because as soon as they start putting reciprocity from other states, it's taking effect back in January, December, January, February, and so forth. So what theory was, what they were trying to get at is if you're a resident, you have until July 1 of next year to get a Virginia permit before they stop honoring the one you've got. I don't know. It's a mess. Anytime you let the gun controllers have control of things, they like control, but they don't they use it up. They don't know what they're doing. So anyhow, so that's what's going on with that law. What else have we got going on? They expanded the flag, which is the last thing we needed. Allowing more people to be able to, right now, only a police officer or a Commonwealth attorney can ask the judge to do a red flag. And only if the police do an investigation to show that there really is something there. And then the judge gets to decide. But now they're making it so, family members, and even the school and other things, they can red flag your kid. Now, that may well mean that you lose your gun or a red flag. During that period, it's again, I will tell you, don't waste your time using logical reason on these things. No, you're wasting your time. This is about civilian disarmament. And there's no privacy excuse. All you can do is privacy excuse. We know that. Because if the gun controllers really wanted to do something about crime, they wouldn't support letting violent criminals out of jail early. They wouldn't support getting rid of bail. They wouldn't support lowering the penalties for violent crime. They wouldn't do any of that because a 5-year-old knows that's going to raise the crime rate. But they want it to go up. I know reporters incredulous. No, they want the penalties to go up. That's the excuse to disarm everybody. And no gun problems. Yeah. No self-defense lives. So anyhow, that's why the red flags, in my opinion, because they don't get anybody any help. If you're truly having a crisis, the red flag, you're left alone. You can commit suicide or otherwise. It's not about saving lives. It's not about being able to pray. That's frustrating. It's hard to fight that in court. For one thing, you've got to find the timing on the drug. These things sometimes are just temporary. Let's see, what else are they hitting on us? The magazine bans.
They're attacking anybody that sells anything that's with firearms.
Oh, and anything, yeah. And they made it clear. It can be a frivolous lawsuit. So that if somebody sold you a holster, and that holster is used in a crime by a criminal, which that's rare though, the criminal sold it truly, but let's just say the criminal had a stroke and put on a holster, and he murdered somebody, then you sue the holster maker because hey, that's part of the firearm industry. And the law made it clear that you do not have to show any improved malice. The person that you're suing didn't have to do anything they knew or had any control over this. To me, that's highlighting, let's do a frivolous lawsuit. Let's sue these people for anything you want, because you don't have to prove they have anything. And so that's the NRA and the VSSA filed in Virginia on that suit. Not the VSSA on that one. I think the National Shooting Sports Foundation is also going to come in on that one. We're kind of standing by since if they've got that under control, we're going to focus on some of the other things we're talking about here. Because there's plenty of lawsuits that need to fly because of this.
And on that one, I have a concern with one like that. Said, well, our liability insurance is super expensive.
And my concern has to do with the supply chain. So these frivolous lawsuits are gonna put us in a real issue with liability costs to this. And we may end up with access to wholesalers or suppliers or what have you that are outside of Virginia and Microsoft.
Yeah,
Absolutely, because the supplier and the manufacturer can also be sued. The supplier and the manufacturer have a lot deeper pockets than the individual gun stores. So they're a likely target for these lawsuits. And that is the absolute intent of this bill, is to choke off the supply of firearms and firearm-related items to the state of Virginia. You'll also find places like your local corner store may now sell a little bit of ammo or something like that, and they may stop doing it because of the liability involved. If they sell a box of ammo to somebody and that person goes out and has an accident or uses it incorrectly for some reason, or even gets pulled over for DWI or something like that, then that store could be sued under this bill, for creating a public nuisance. So this bill has huge implications, and it's very obviously intended to cut off our supply to anything related to firearms.
yeah, you got a Second Amendment, just go and try to get some ammunition, good luck with that, you know? Yeah, again, if you look at the 1,000-foot view looking down on all of this gun control, it's all pushing it towards civilian disarmament. They're trying to make it harder to buy a gun, they're making it harder to carry a gun, they're banning the most useful rifles out there. For example, I've had the press come up to me and say, well, these AR-15, these are weapons of war. And I say, well, okay, you know, a lot of people call them modern sporting rifles, but they are used in sport. And the report, yeah, could they be used in a war? So, oh, hell yeah, they could be used in a war, absolutely. In fact, we're counting on that. The government will become tyrannical. Because they are very easily fight a war. And it doesn't matter because the Second Amendment protects my right to own a weapon of war. So you can call it a modern sporting rifle, you can call it a weapon of war, call it what you want. I'm going to have to create an innocent gun. So, but that's, yeah, so that's why they're going after the AR-15 too. Not only is they make it sort of older and improved, but it's not anymore. There's like 40 million of those out there now. I mean, they've driven the stigma by having this, but those are the kind of things that the country are trying to tackle. It's just the way it is. But that's why they're going to try to grab those places. And if they can't grab them all at once, then they say, well, you can't carry it in public anymore. You no more just walking around the general assembly outside and having people carrying AR-15s. You know, they may never be hurt there now. It's the same place in Richmond during that time that we're having a rally. But it's bad. They don't, you know, they're just trying to do this. Yeah, so.
When the Bill of Rights was ratified, it was commonplace for people to drill in the public square. On the grass in front of the Capitol building. The militias would drill.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, we have had this rally in 2020, 50,000 people. Probably at least half of those are the AR-15 and all kinds of zero crime. In fact, we do this when we left, it's zero crime. Again, I'm laughing at that one because the press was determined. There are people living in the guns. You can't have that many people in a protest and not have one arrest. So they ended up finding somebody. It was somebody that had nothing to do with it. It was the woman 2 blocks away. And all after the rally cleared out. And you know why they arrested her? She was wearing a mask.
Yeah. And the police arrested her, by the way, wearing the mask. Because
Yes.
all this.
And little did she know, 1 year later, you aren't wearing the mask, all right, hands up. So,
Last year we had this decided to, they didn't find anything wrong with it. They tried that.
It's not about crime, I'm not making anybody say.
So we didn't make the headline this year. You know, it's the first time we had a problem was when an anti-gun person threatened to kick someone in their.
Sensitive part of their real anatomy.
And heckled Jared Gaddis.
Yeah, Jared Gaddis of Guns and Gadgets. He was the one that shamed the police into getting down there, and they pushed across the property, but they didn't arrest her. I was a little disappointed. She deserved to be arrested.
She was so scared of guns, but she went across the street where all those guys were standing with this carry rifle and went over there and started harassing them.
I mean, actually, those guys did a great job. They ended up, yeah, they just ended up, you know, you do this without, it's like trying to push the back, you know?
Yeah.
Push the spring, you know, the other person isn't fighting, not only the other person isn't fighting back. Pretty soon you feel what? You got nothing, you're railing into nothing. This doesn't work, they need you to push back. Those guys, I give them good credit, because she tried to push their buttons to get them to respond. I don't think they were smiling and having a good time, and I kudos, you know, good job, guys.
But again, if it was about fear, then she would not have gone in and confronted those guys. It was about making a scene and disarming. It was about infringing on somebody's God-given, constitutionally protected right.
And that's why the founding fathers said you gotta be a true individual for her, because this stuff doesn't end. It's never gonna end. There's never gonna be a day where, oh, we're good, don't need VCDL anymore, don't need the NRA. Nope, it's never gonna happen, because it's always gonna be. And honestly, most of these people probably should be considered looking at mental institutions, quite frankly. Indeed, the last ones are on the other side. We've been through that. They've done things. That's why criminals don't like that. They project their bad nature out on other people. They think system. I would get mad and beat somebody or shoot them if they disagree. Everybody must be like that. No, this is normal. But anyhow, that's you see that. You find that's painful, but they really do. They get violent quickly. So yeah. Yeah, well, gun derangement syndrome. That was on display at the General Assembly big time this year. They tried to tax suppressors, put a $500 tax on suppressors. Believe it or not, they put back down on that one. That was, even though the poultry gave up on it. Yeah, I didn't really think about the fact that it protects you know, that's a health issue. So it disappeared. Good, but that was about the only.
But they didn't take anything that can accept the suppressor off of the assault firearms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, well, it was suppression. So, but again, that's briefly one more time back on the common motion here. And for handguns, they made a change, the way that they put the police back. This is why people get confused. One time it said if you have two of these attributes, your handguns are full on a credit bureau and holding or upgrade, or it has you know, some other attribute. Then they made a rule. Which said, whoa, you can't even carry a handgun with a threaded barrel, you know, and then they went back to two. And people have struck it into the two. That's why you can have a threaded barrel, you can have whatever size magazine you want in a regular handgun and still carry it on you, opening it.
Left it at one though with their rifle shotguns.
Rifle shotguns are.
Yeah, that's substantially different from Maryland. I make that argument before, sir.
Yeah, so, you know, we'll figure it out. Okay.
Back and forth was, the magazine size.
Yes, oh yeah, 2 rounds. Oh my God, 11 rounds? They do the same. Then they go, we can do 15. Wait a minute. How can you do 15 when 11 was fatal? Now 15, I mean, what, you know, of course, again, the mistake I've been making, I did that. Logic and reason, no, don't do that.
Maybe you had the statistics there in front
Yeah,
of
exactly. They didn't care that 700 billion magazines, 700 billion magazines hold more than 10 rounds in America. I would say, when you agree that's a common use.
Oh, yeah.
Constitution. Really?
Because blood flowing in the streets, if it's have any magazine for that high.
I know. Yeah, so, Anyhow, I'll pause here. Get one question I want to answer. I'll talk about the NRA.
The red flag thing is concerning to me, because I wonder if this would be the situation. You have three different people who decide, that you or I made some kind of threat against them. And maybe it's more of a personal vendetta. Can they, get you red flag they from that, especially since it may be three different people.
You're very right.
That's
It's actually one more in the situation, file homes and rob situations where there is actually, has actually, been questioned a little bit that way as far as how they're using their fire laws to create more of an issue against, their victims. Because, I mean, there's no, right now, it's just it's such a vague thing because people don't know how it's actually being used when it's, or how the intent is supposed to go, rather than, how it's marketed.
But they're going to be educating schools on how to use
Yeah,
their
now they're,
flag.
yeah.
Now they're
And it still has to go before the judge.
Yes.
But they've expanded what the judge can and should consider. And now the judge can even consider the recent purchase of a firearm. And in a lot of cases, especially domestic cases, judges will rule by erring on the side of caution. And that's the major difference, because it's actually forcing the victim to be defenseless.
Right, it's just, because of that rule, it's just, it's not fair. And if you look at the thing goes on with the women who have themselves, that's versus in these situations. It's really bad.
So you see concealed carry and counsel a lot of women that are getting out of abusive relationships. How many of those women are going out and buying this gun for the first time?
For the first time, I would say it's a 50-50 balance. I think that you come here, it's 50-50, but when a lot of them are coming to me more so for the education first, so they can really step up for type of programs. So they're scared to death because of all like what we're facing right now. So just they're up in the air, they're vague, they're very, you don't know them, if you're not in touch with people like us, so to speak. There is that confusion and people are very afraid to exercise the right. Well, these women who have been in situations where nothing but control, that's all they face. Usually if I get stirred up during this. But, they're even more afraid to come out of those situations. They're more afraid to take that autonomy back. Right, so
It's never been in charge.
they've never been in charge of having to it's scared. It's scared.
Before I did, I do introductions, and I think, that's Joe McDaniel, who, heads up the academy, and Pat Webb, secretary treasurer, and who knows what all is. Look at everything.
Keep a little bit
So-
long.
But, and when we come back, I think, did you have a question on this?
Yeah, well, on the, veteran policy,
Yeah.
well, I don't have any people, what do you think of Tim Anderson classes that he's offered in the state of Virginia for the Utah?
Yeah, I can teach you Utah course. Utah will get you 5 more states, get you Washington State, which Virginia doesn't anyhow. I'm trying to remember what all, Washington, there's like 5 states, I've got a list.
Delaware, I thought.
Delaware is one of them. Yeah, so there is an advantage to it. It's not what it used to be. Now, if we'd had this discussion 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, it would have been, wow, yeah, you get you like 10 states or more, that with just that permit. But what's happened is a lot of the states that under Utah have all become permitless carry. So,
So if Virginia says, we're not gonna recognize Kentucky,
right,
but if you have a Utah non-resident and they recognize, and you have that permit,
It's not a big of a deal now because 26 states are.
29.
29, okay.
that's still extortion.
Yeah, but Kentucky is,
I'm just using an example.
There's very few states around us that let you go north. that-
Were you saying the other way, if somebody from Kentucky wanted to carry in Virginia, and we didn't know in Kentucky, could they carry under Utah? Sure. You know, I don't have a copy of the law. Kind of want to pull the law up and see what it says about Virginia recognizing a non-resident permit.
Virginia would have to recognize Utah's permit.
Right, you said it is.
It doesn't say resident
Okay,
or
that's what I was
not.
thinking. So yeah, that would work if we honor Utah, which I would hope we would, because I would, you know, you can Jay Jones. He was hilarious. In our lawsuit, the state, I said, well, the one blessing we have is Jay Jones is the one defending, fighting against it. They're probably filing the wrong court, have the document pulled wrong, or misspellings and everything else, so we should be in good shape. Anyhow, they come back on the storage thing, changing cars. I want Andrew to come up on the,
Yeah.
Brown, whenever
Yes. Thank you, Phil. So thank you all for having me today. My name is Andrew Brown. I am the grassroots field coordinator for the MRA for the state of Virginia. I cover a few other states as well. I cover North Carolina, Maryland, Delaware, and West Virginia. But Virginia is my home. That's where I've lived basically my entire life, so here and here today. And so I just wanted to touch a little bit more on our side of things as well. I don't think I need to run through all the bills because Phil did a phenomenal job with that. But we are challenging the assault weapons case on the federal level as well. We have partnered with Second Foundation and PDC on a federal case. It's a direct infringement on the Supreme Court case of VCDL or Chicago McDonald in the case that a lot of these firearms are commonly owned, and that is what the Supreme Court decided on those cases. So we filed in Eastern District Court in the state of Virginia. So I don't have too much more information on that because we filed it basically as soon as we were to sign on Thursday. More information will be coming out on that. I know we were preemptively preparing for this lawsuit, finding plaintiffs, all of that stuff right off the rip so we can move as quick as possible. Like VCDL as well, we'll be hoping to get an injunction on this as well. As of now, we don't have any cases that I know of on any of the other legislation. Some of this legislation, we are also challenging in other states, and we get that to the Supreme Court. That's the law of lands. And so we may find ourselves that we have a better opportunity in other states than maybe Virginia to win some of these cases. And so that's why you may see some of them being done here in Virginia. But that's what I wanted to touch on that end. Going forward, because I mean, it doesn't stop here. Phil talked about the suppressive tax. I'm going to use that as an example. They had a suppressive tax bill. I was at that committee hearing. It was one of the few I was able to make this year. As I said, I'm the grassroots field coordinator. We also have a state director. He is the one who is lobbying directly in the Capitol with Pat and Phil. They were together there basically every time. Whenever I listened in virtually, I would see Pat and John walking up together side by side every single time. And so the one thing I want to touch on, especially with that bill, is we had about 30 people, I would say, testifying in opposition to that bill. Not just firearm owners, we had doctors, different things like that. And they only had about 2 people in support of that bill. And I think that was a major reason why we were able to get that bill to committee. So I want to encourage everyone, if you ever have the opportunity, I know sessions over this year, but going into next year, a lot of the bills that they were not able to get done this year, most likely will get introduced next year. If you have the opportunity, reach out to Pat, reach out to Phil, reach out to myself. I'll have some business cards here that you're welcome to take, and try to plan a trip to Richmond if you have the opportunity. Take the opportunity to testify. It really does make a difference. If you're unable to travel to Richmond, you have the opportunity to testify virtually.
I know there was a few people that did that quite a bit, and so it's really important that these committees are hearing our voices as well. We need to bring out the numbers and show how strong our Second Amendment voice here is in Virginia. So just want to leave you with that going forward as well. Unfortunately, we don't have state elections this year in Virginia to make the change that's needed. We do have federal elections coming up for Congress and Senate. We did have a big win a couple weeks ago without getting the new redistricting maps, which thankfully we have the opportunity to get a lot of seats in Congress that we need to, but especially going into 2027. We just need a couple seats in the Senate to stop Spamberger in the last 2 years as governor. And so we need to start making moves now and getting people motivated to work, getting people motivated to tell people to get out the vote, direct voter contact efforts, all of that sort of stuff. The work starts now, going into that for November of next year. We want to have a chance of winning. So I encourage you to get involved with VCDL or with NRA, the way that you can, because we are starting to work now going into next November to make sure we don't give Abigail Spanberger the opportunity to pass more gun legislation in her last 2 years in office. So with that, I am available for questions here. I'm sticking around until the end, so if you want to ask me any questions about what I do, which is general NRA things, I'd be happy to take those. I know there's been a lot of questions with NRA, a decade or so. Hopefully, we've been getting out the proper information over the past couple of years that change your perspective maybe a little bit in the NRA in a more positive tone. But if you do have any questions about any of that stuff, I'm happy to answer that. I will say our work on this Iowa side of things is no stops. We have been constantly involved in the courts on the federal side. We were able to get Berman done just a couple years ago, which was possibly the biggest Supreme Court win for us in our history. And so, any questions that you have, I'm happy to take them either as a group or individually.
But as the understanding is really the hearsay that we have in the way that people finally get their permission from the government to even get it done. Why have we not filed a ruling decision taking this in the first place?
Next,
And here's why. In the great Congress of U.S. history, there's never been a requirement to ask permission of the Crown by
Or exercise anyway.
that's the one. So why hasn't an NRA when it's up and filed the next case?
to be honest, I don't have a direct answer to that. I'm happy to get you an answer. I'll check something for you.
So it's people in my school.
Yeah. Are you based out here in Danville or?
I'm out of Martinsville, but I live in Danville. And we're training currently live about 24,000 people.
Oh, very good. Yeah. I don't have an answer for you that right now. Coordinate with me as we're kind of stuff. I'll get your contact information. Appreciate it. And answer something like this week. So thank you, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the relationship with NRA has changed quite a bit over the years. We years ago, of course, VCDL didn't exist, but over time, the old administration had to acknowledge that we did exist, and we were working with their lobbyists off and on during the sessions. They would never acknowledge lobby day. That huge lobby day we had in 2020, they did their own, and we promoted it. About 3,000 people out. But then, less than a week later, we had 50,000 show up for us. But this time around, this year, under the new leadership, they actually promoted lobby East to be a lobby day. We had, a key person at the NRA speak at it. The VSSA, who historically ignored us, different tone. Very different tone. They've been promoted in the lobby day. I haven't touched those guys. We have great working relationship with the NRA now. I feel very, very proud. I really like what I see. Of course, GOA, always great place to be VCDL. We work side by side with before. There's a lot of great organizations out there. They're all important in their own way. You got FPP and so forth. Okay, I see, building with.
So I was, but that we were like you and son. Other guy who got all good. Brian has just trying for good things to happen. And he can get in the weeds on it. Sort of overwhelming. It changes constantly. The rules and regulations, and so we filter out everything we go do. We won't have a good answer. Thanks.
So people can ask you, any short things, okay.
Move lobby day for one more month.
Well, sadly, our General Assembly is only in session in January, February, March. So, it would do no good to have lobby day in July unless it's a special session. And we haven't had that before.
Yes, we have.
We had a special session one year, we had a lobby day in June or July. But
They said agriculture.
It was agriculture, when the crops are in. It's a citizen legislature. These are people that don't do, they don't in California, they don't do it for a living, the whole 365. They come in for a couple months, they pay a certain amount, and they go home, and they go back to their regular jobs. Selling marijuana, okay,
And t-shirts.
and t-shirts. It's not backfiring on your big time.
For money for a football season.
Yes.
But she doesn't even know what it's all about.
I don't even want to go there.
I need money, but I don't know what it's
Okay.
So that kind of brings me into something I wanted to talk about. And if you're a senator or delegate, you're not doing a good job, consider running for office or finding somebody to replace that will do a good job, that is like-minded. Also, school boards, city council, board of supervisors, all of those are very, very important. Most of the gun control that we're looking at happens either on the local or the state level, not the federal level. So it's really, really important to get involved, especially with your local governments. And Philip he's set up a kind of a network of people that keep an eye on local governments, and we can always use help for that. So talk to your friends and neighbors and kind of delegate tasks. One of you watch your school board meetings that have anything to do with firearms. One of you watch your city council or your board of supervisors. And anytime there's something on the docket, which is posted online, let VCDL know and we'll get people out there. The sanctuary movement, that was all grassroots. That was people that go from their chief's councils and their board of supervisors. And this time we're asking you to talk to the Commonwealth attorneys and your sheriffs and get them to push back against these unconstitutional laws, because the Commonwealth attorney can say, I'm not prosecuting that. It is an unconstitutional law. I do not enforce it.
When you tell the sheriff goes, look, you're not going to arrest anybody for it, you're not going to prosecute, so it becomes null. A law that doesn't exist, right?
Right.
And then we're probably going to leave it in Smith County.
Right, yeah.
Two Commonwealth attorneys that say, I'm doing it, not going to prosecute, for the assault weapon ban, not constitutional, Spotsylvania, Smith.
Yeah.
With that said, me being native from this area, born and raised, in Rainbow, we come from this area is predominantly Jewish. I mean, we mind our own business, do our own thing. But that said, that does not mean it can't change. I wouldn't be in this position right now if I didn't see it changing in other areas.
So I really hope that the community come together and actually pushing that forward. Communicate with our delegates and our people and senators, Commonwealth attorneys, and sheriffs, and just keep that line of communication open. And what you said about minding your own business, we all want to be left alone. Yeah. We want to live in freedom and enjoy our rights. But to live in freedom, we have to be active. Freedom is an action. It's not just a thing that survives. It's something that has to be fed and maintained. And it takes all of us working together and not afraid to say, hey, by the way, I will own one of those scary rifles. I use it all the time to turn coyote hunting to keep my farm animals safe or whatever, and talk to people about it and say, these things aren't really all that scary. If you want to come shoot one, come on over, go to the range, and I'll show you how it works. And you can learn how to shoot, and I'll teach you in a safe environment.
Well, the reality is, and I agree with most of the people in this knowing government that I do, most of them just want to be left alone. We don't want to, I don't care what their neighbors doing, as long as they're not hurting anybody, they're doing what you want. We want to be just left alone to enjoy our freedom, enjoy our family, enjoy what we're doing. But there are people that live not to let you do that. You don't, yeah, I just want to be left alone. Well, tough. There are people that don't want you to be left alone. They want to bother you about how many dogs you own, about whatever. It just goes on and on and on. So the truth is, you're in a fight whether you want to be in the fight or not. And you can, it's like landing in a pool on the ocean, see sharks around, and go, oh, we're pretending there's not sharks there. Yeah, but they're not going to pretend you're not there. Okay? So, you know, you're stuck in a situation, you have to fight back. And that's the problem. Too many people get complacent and say, I just don't want to do the politics. Yeah. A lot of people are waking up saying, you mean my shotgun is going to be illegal?
I was going to say what you said, at a grassroots level, the council, your supervisor. First time I ever knew this guy was about 10 days from down with City Council. 10 years ago, okay? And it wasn't but a tall, hard hat. It was yellow, down in City Council. I mean, on the computer. And I'm listening. I just didn't understand it, didn't know what they were talking about, looking at it. And he finally stood up out of my chair. I'm not going to get the chair. I said, I'm with them. And they voted in the sanctuary city. Now,
We get that close today, and we went one vote shot.
right, that's how it's done every day. You got it. And a couple months before I got off city, the General Assembly, they had unification fair package, 45 pages, page 5, it said that the municipality has to get to 50% carbon net neutral on the light duty vehicles in there and the truck. But then 2034, the heavy's gotta go. They didn't read it. And that's in place, but that's how the Democrats work at this level. And they already know we've got Bamberg on, other folks they're gonna know what people are trying to move out, and they've got a big game board somewhere, and they're playing the wrong game. And it really, I just thought it was crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
They're gonna undermine, fine, all these things happen, but they just look for a new deal now.
Yes.
It is gonna do that too, and, my brother's on the board supervisor, and when I was running with him, I was watching these things come up on how they're gonna change the sign. They wanna update your codes or whatever they're doing. And look at everybody. It's all familiar, but it was the same thing. And then I told every student I ever get to, I said, if y'all pass this thing, then there's no reason y'all to do it, because you got a special, because every spot is special. You know, what's going on in these areas. If y'all blanket this thing, they reel back. And so if you go through things slow, but try to understand what they are, offsets in your yard, you know, how many, I think you can have 5 chickens and not a rooster in the damn. Okay. And that's it. But it's just simple stuff. It just ships away. And, you know, I'm glad you're paying attention to it.
Freedoms are almost never lost in one day. They dip away a little bit here, a little bit there, and all of a sudden one day you just have to say, what on earth happened?
So Adam Thomer stood up there that time. He said, the council, whether you just earned 64 votes in the county.
Yeah, but it's
City.
it's not just the federal government that says, let's pass this bill so we can find out what's in it.
Right. Yeah, no.
But it's up to us to look at those things, look at what's on the docket and read what it is they're voting for. And it's everything. And speak out with your opinion. And if you have to, run for it. You know, but if you don't know, let me put it another way. If your city council members or board of supervisor members don't know your faith and your name, you're doing something wrong.
If I may. Okay. Hey, my name's Andy Havens, just so you guys know, and I'm kind of working on this Give Me Liberty show. It's on Facebook, on YouTube, and it's nothing. Okay. It's not just one guy's got one little voice. But here's my point. Each of us has one voice. That's the basis of our constitutional republic. We each have a voice, and together our voice is stronger. Now, Andrew talked about participation, and he's absolutely right. Okay, how can you participate? This is what I wanted to get to. Okay, I'm doing this on Facebook. You can join on Facebook. You can join VCDL when they're on Facebook. But get on there, get active, and share. Share my page. My God, please follow my page. I got 2 followers. I need more followers. I got to get to 100 followers. I got to get to 100 followers in order to be able to stream. Not for my own personal thing. But this is what I'm saying. When you see something, don't have to be my stuff. It could be see something from Phillips. It could be something from one of you guys. But see it, post it, repost it, say something, share it. Okay, do that sort of stuff, because even if you just do that, then you're going to make a difference. You're going to move the needle a little bit. I'm not going to, if doing this, I may not move the needle at all, but I may hit somebody that moves the needle a little bit more. You've got how many thousand?
About 24,000.
24,000.
We've been adding a whole lot in the last.
But we can move the needle. That's what I'm saying. If he and I join forces, okay, I've got a fellow I've talked to here, Uriah Kaiser, who does Virginia Insider, very conservative guy, okay? He's got 15,000. Okay, we start combining these things and start interacting and start doing the same kind of grassroots thing. This platform, and I think we're going to see something even more powerful than Facebook, but this platform is a local platform. It is powerful. And if we start using it, you can do this. You can stream on this. You guys have already, some of you already streamed on this. You're better at it than I am, okay? But we can open up the discussion. We get people in, we get sharing, we get people coming on in, we follow each other's pages and so forth. Please follow mine. But that's how we can make a difference. That's how we can really move the needle as our individual. Stand up, speak, let people hear your voice, and by all means go up. Don't just run for office. Go to your local school board. Go to stream. All you need is a cell phone and a connection. Stream the darn thing. Get people interested. Okay, spread the word. Let people know what's going on, because people know what's going on. They'll just sit in their own little rabbit hole. We are as people. We are social people. We communicate, and that's what we have to use. The Democrats, the liberals are very good at that. We got to get better. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Yeah, the social media is something that we can use to our advantage, the way to reach out to people where they may normally, and also you have to count on that stuff. Like I said earlier, some people just accept what's on the internet and say, oh, well, this guy just said the Supreme Court. Look, if the Supreme Court does something that's going to affect us, you're going to be hearing from it from people that do this stuff. You're going to hear about the Washington, VCDL, internet, you're going to hear from those people. You're not hearing it there, and this guy's thinking, don't share anything. But, yeah, okay.
That's something that we need to be aware of, is that you do it strategically and have education behind what you're posting. Stay on this quite often, but it, just like what Philip was saying earlier, sometimes you can just feel headline and look it your way for what you want to use it for in social platforms, and it can get all twisted and jumbled up if you're not really educated in what you're saying.
Misinformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that can just derail everything, and it's a constant, within this last week, I'm constantly getting messages about this right here, what do I say here? And Philip, help me out, I don't know what to say, and just because it's just a constant barrage of people saying, well, you can't hear me. And it's like, no, let's read the fine print.
Want to hit that part. We didn't want people to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's where social media can be a downfall, so we need to be really strategic and very responsible.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need help getting the word out there. So the trusted sources, the VCDL, Facebook page and YouTube channel, the Guns and Gadgets, and several of the other facilities already mentioned a few times, share those posts and put them on your Facebook page, share them with your friends, tag your friends on the post, because the social media algorithm constantly try to suppress anything QA oriented. What's that?
My feed and the back end of it, the posts that I even, the mirrors are protocol, it was, I shared it, we're not getting any traffic.
Right.
I think they did them $5.
Yeah, well, back in 2020, they totally wiped us off the face of the internet. That is, Facebook totally erased the VCDL page, the VCDL group, and the personal pages of every one of them. It just wiped it out until I can log it. And it took almost an act of God to get it back on Facebook.
Right before Lobby Day, right when it was peaking, we were coordinating and on. Right, that was no accident. That just shows you the level they assume to.
And that's what John said, and he said that also to play, grassroots, get your boots on the ground. Go and get active within your communities, not, take some pictures with Facebook and IG, all day long, but actually go and have conversations and the girls here trying, these city guys, it's moving, oh, that's right.
Let me, before we get too long into this, we're going to cover a couple more things as far as new laws, storage laws. This is an interesting one. Again, this is why you want a professional attorney that does gun and stuff. Because in this case, it was Gilbert Hamblin, who's in Winchester, one of our board members, but a very top-notch gun rights attorney. And he looked at two new laws that were going into effect and looked at them together and said, well, okay, this is interesting. And that one that he did there was actually transporting a personal defense weapon. That's like what I described in iBlock, that's the 365 plus, the thing, the two magazines and all that, these were done. Turns out that if you look at the way they wrote the ban on carrying whole firearms in public, which again, that would qualify, there is an exception in there if you're in your car and you have it in a case, a closed container, has to be latched but not locked. So while you're in the car, you can have your PDW sitting right next to you in your closed case that's latched and loaded, but in the case. So that was interesting on transport, and that's because what they did was they said exceptions to transport and carrying a gun are as listed in the assault. You can carry a concealed firearm code. There's a little section you're exempt, like the current law, that you're exempted from going from a gun to and from a place of repair If the gun is securely wrapped, unloaded, not in breach, then, you're going somewhere else. And so if there was a code section that changed, a line that VCDL worked to put in, that says you can have a loaded handgun in your car, even without a concealed carry permit, as long as it's in a glove compartment, console, or any closed, secured, secured, judge ruled secured, and it had to have a latch. And that's illegal, but it had to have a latch. So you put those two together, again, so that, under this, because of that assumption, the General Assembly may not have thought about that, you can transport your PW, personal defense weapon, in your car. You have to have another unlocked anyhow. On security guns. And we found another key point here. Again, we merged two different code changes. I don't think the General Assembly thought it through. If you have a minor in your home, or you have a prohibited person, then unless you're carrying a gun on your person, as I am now, it has to be unloaded, locked in a safe, or secured in a safe, or whatever. Or you can have it loaded if it's in a certain type of safe, one that has biometrics or some kind of a code that you punch in. But he also noted that if it's your children in the home, you're the one who's yours, and you've given them permission to possess firearms, and then you're exempt from this. You don't have to lock your guns up. But if they bring a friend over that's a minor, now you got to have your guns locked up. And that was a bill that was actually worse at one time and actually got better at the end. What was worse was they required you to lock up your ammunition. I don't know about you, but I got 61,000 rounds at home. I mean, it's like, okay, I've got a dedicated room. I got to put a door on, a lock on the door because else I'm going to secure all. And we're picturing, and you would never have more than 50 rounds. It's like, oh, he has 50. You look at the newspaper thing. I'm going to get 50 rounds of ammo on my way to the shooter. And that's not even, that's like 20 minutes at the range. You carry it. I go to 200 minimum if I'm even going to go to the range. But anyhow, that law, if they're your kids and you're giving them permission, you're fine. It's just if you're segregated. So let's say you're a new father. You brought home your little 1 month old daughter. Now you got to lock the guns up. Wait a minute, she can't even crawl much get up there very hand on the gun. But, oh no, we got to lock them up now. So, but if you can't, unless you give her permission. By the way, magazines, there's no limit on it. You can have a magazine. You can be 5 years old and have a magazine. Yeah, so if you can buy magazines for your kids, so that when they turn 18, they'll have these 20-round magazines, whatever it is they're buying for them. They can even pick us up now,
Let's say it's a magazine thing over time, you can't pass the magazines on to your kids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
You can give them the gun, and they can have the magazine.
yeah. Now, as far as your car, now that the law is going to say that if the gun is in an unattended vehicle, I mean, if anybody's in the vehicle, if you see the vehicle, you're okay. But if it's unattended, nobody, normally would have been in that car to see it, then your gun has to be locked in a hard-sided container. And they did put in that you can do a glove box or a console if it's got a lock on it. You can use that. And then there's the regulations. At one point, they said, well, you have the gun hidden. And then it had to be, the container had to be welded to the cloth,
And hidden from view.
And hidden from view. It's like, like my car, I'm going to save in there right by in the passenger side. And really don't, I guess I could throw a coat over something, but it's not meant to be hidden from view. I just reach over, punch in some codes, and I got access to the gun.
There is 0 places in my vehicle that I can put something, a safe attached, permanently attached to the vehicle and hidden from view, and still be able to get into the safe. It doesn't exist.
No. And the law now doesn't say, it says you can have a cable or you can own it or whatever, but you don't have to attach it to the vehicle. I wish it would have also said that the trunk was sufficient. If it's got a locked trunk, without a sight, why do we need to then put it in a case of electric? But that's where that stands. So you get out of your car, they're gonna. Now, if indeed your gun was stolen and you didn't do this stuff, you left the gun under the seat, and somebody broke into your car and stole your gun, if you report it to the police within 48 hours, in the law quickly, then you're exempted. They can't charge you with the fact that you didn't have a squatter property, but you reported it within 48 hours. It's something that, hopefully none of you have had your gun stolen. But that's that's the storage law. So again, you got a prohibited person, you got a neighbor's kid, and technically a lot of the guns that we have been wanting. Oh, that would be fun. Or I put my 30 handguns. So any questions on any of that stuff?
I was talking about people on YouTube. I listened to former legislator Nick Bringus. You don't consider him to be reliable. He's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
If I could ask one more thing. In the big scheme of things now, it seems trivial, but it would be nice if the president, I think we could do this, could President Trump issue an executive order saying if you have a permit to carry in a given state, that you can walk into the post office carrying, which you cannot do. I don't think you can have a firearm even on the property.
No, you can't.
I don't, yeah, and indeed, that's been struck down for
A specific group.
specific group. I think Second Amendment Foundation, the Firearm Policy Coalition. There might have been one more, but if you're a member of those organizations, either you were or you're going, or you are, you can join anytime. You're exempt from that, but I think it's going to get struck down nationwide. We'll probably be carrying a post office. I would think,
It's a little inconvenient for me, but you gotta, if you're out and about, you gotta go home and.
I just locked it in the car and left it at that, but yeah, technically, you.
So postal inspector told me a long time ago that it can't even be on their property.
Yeah. Well, I think.
What were the two
I want to
organizations?
say that was. That was. Say what now? I think it's that, Firearms Policy Coalition. They've been very active in a lot of this.
Is it safe to assume, two things I find fascinating is number one, how the progressive left Democrats have turned the invented terminology of assault weapon into now what has become into legislation. And now it is becoming a term that now has standards, number one.
Yeah.
Number two is, absent an injunction on July 1st, there's going to be an avalanche of confusion. And you're going to end up, all of you all are going to end up with it pouring in, because it is going to be, you're going to be inundated with it. The rumors are there. July 1 is the magical day, and they're going to be all the states, they're going to have been convinced that the Gestapo's coming to take the guns away.
Yeah. But won't be carried to building legal anymore. They're going to potentially accept the magazine.
Well, there's going to be mass confusion.
Oh, yeah.
Abs-
We're trying to avoid that,
I
but
know.
if you're not a member, like the guy I talked to today, again, I told him, he teaches gun safety courses and stuff, but he had that information. And he admitted, no, I'm not a member, and I don't your VA. So you have to. He didn't even know that we got universal background checks start down end of October. He didn't know that. I said, all these countries.
There's people that still don't know that you don't need a permit to put a gun concealed in a secure container in your car. And they leave it open on the seat because they think, well, I have to leave it in front because I don't have a permit. One thing I want to bring up, we talk about July 1st. Right now, there is a flood, and Josh can attest to this, gun stores are super duper busy. Everybody's buying everything they can get their hands on. What's gonna happen on July 1st is we're gonna have about a year to spend, because everybody has spent everything they can possibly afford, and they are going, it's, the gun industry is gonna dry up. So if you can support your local gun shops after July 1st, any way you can, buying ammo, buying socks or whatever they sell, even if it's not guns that you might need. Just think about the local gun stores, because we want to keep them in business. You remember that these laws were structured to support gun stores and other related industries out of business. And it's up to all of us to support those businesses and keep them afloat after July 1st.
All about good going to put us out. One of the things that are coming on, concerns with, they are the 80% is we have gun sets, we will not touch it. Here's why. If I'm off one, I've got to put my FFL number on there, and that opens me up for a lawsuit with my liability here. I won't touch it. The other issue is consumers are consistently coming in asking about FRTs. We already wouldn't pull them because we're a Southern two manufacturer. I make a thing of it. We don't want to open our clientele up. Hey, they're shooting an unlicensed shooter, it's just an FRT. They don't know the difference. And you also have a state issue with their FRT that you may have to defend yourself, in my opinion, in court and say that it's not a shooter. And I think going forward, you're going to see a lot of issues with both of those in that new liability issue, with responsibility law. That law, if we don't get that overturned or injunctified, it's going to be a problem.
It is a huge problem.
That's just a trickle down way that they do it. It's like Kelly Pearl said, they're in it for the long game. They might not win this year, they might not win next year when they have one this year. They might not, but they're still planning to head ahead. So they're taking out manufacturers, and then they're going after FFLs. They're going to go after us governors. They're going to go after us, our organizations. They're just going to let us out. That's their goal. They're still
They played that trick of, well, but you can keep your guns. The grandfathering plays into that whole idea.
Well, look at Rhode Island. They tried to remove the grandfather.
Yeah, but see, they didn't try that in Virginia. That would have been very interesting, because they tried just registering guns once in Connecticut. And if you have an AR, 4% of this is Connecticut. They don't have the heritage we do on guns. 4% registered. Even the police weren't registering their guns. Now imagine coming to Virginia and telling us we're going to give up our guns. That's not happening. It's not happening. The police don't want anything to do with that. They're going to run in the other direction. But that's the long-term goal. I don't think that doesn't mean they don't want to do it. They don't plan on doing it. But what they do with the grandfathers, people go, "Ooh, good. My guns are safe." But that's a horrible trap to lead in there. And I say, no. That's nice, but that's not. The fight is on, man. Because who are we to give up the rights of the next generation? Thank God our parents didn't give up all of our rights. We can't do that. Yeah, it's good that we can keep them. That's great, because they had no chance of getting the funds in. But now the next generation is blocked out until we get this overturned. And so we cannot fall into that thing and say, well, I'm fine, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. If you do that, that is so selfish and un-American. No, the fight's the one. We're able to keep our stuff. Now we got to go to protect the next generation and the next generation.
That's because you can only hand the gun down.
Yeah.
Right. So stops there. What does the next generation do?
Well, what about somebody who's going to hand them a gun? Their parents were gun owners. They turned 18, they want to become gun owners. Sorry, can't buy an AR-15, can't buy an AK-47, can't buy a Flux. And they're going to keep narrowing that. So, this freedom started in this state, damn if it's going to get in this state. So we're going to have to fight all this crap back. And maybe this will end up being good for the nation. This might be, again, all the focus on Virginia, all the gun organizations suing, everything coming together in one state, that's actually unheard of. I don't know of any other state where this many groups came together to protect and fight one state, because everybody knows that if we go, it's just a matter of time. You can leave the state if you want, but you're gonna keep leading. We need to stand up, push back, and stop this, and show the nation how you put an end to this stuff. I'm hoping we will be the one at the end of the day that finally turns this around for the country. So we may well be here to be here. Well, we're here, and we can't blow it.
Hey, Philip, let me add, you were saying this, do something. Somebody do something, right?
Well, do something useful.
Don't regurgitate the thing on paper.
And I'm not looking for credit, but I did something. This gathering is here today, right now, to do something. I've been a member of these a number of years, so I know these folks. Mr. Brown, he's here by posted by blackmail and they can all over the Danville. Make him feel guilty. Because we met in Virginia Beach a number of years ago. Delegate, you're here because you and I talked in the parking lot one time. And the second time, I chased down the front stairs of my house.
You did, you said we didn't have a frame.
And I sent messages until your excellent assistant responded. So we are all here because there's a vacuum of something being done, participation, get up, don't be complacent. Complacency means they will, one way or another, they will disarm you. I don't care whether you're 100, I don't care if you're what you are. The goal is, you gotta see that. I don't care what they call it, I don't care what they pretend, they'll never, they're wrong. We're sitting right now in a shadow and a legislature with Democrats to seal your voice. Have you heard any of them today apologize to make an effort, even though they failed miserably? Not a word, and they never will. If you want to know what happens if you do nothing, what we saw was an attempt to do that.
So I would go a step further. Let every single one of us here make a commitment to get 3 people signed up for VCDL. At least signed up for the email so they can know what's going on. And encourage those 3 people to get 3 more people and those to get 3 more. We need to get the word out. There is so much misinformation and so many people that have their heads in their hands. So let's make that commitment, please, today. And
VCDL.
note,
VCDL.org.
yes, yes. On a different note, Jill here.
21, she did 21.
That's right. Thank you.
Better not be dyslexic, or you're waiting to lay
So we have a resolution.
Oh.
And while we're still at happy birthday, I will do you all a favor and have to.
That's my present.
Yay!
So please come have some cake, Jill, you want to do the art?
Yes, I will do that. And our aide has to pay for that.
How's it feel to be 21?
I had my birthday back in February, and I said, I'm dyslexic, so I'm 47.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. You don't have to raise your hand. Expect everybody probably voted in the last cycle.
Yeah.
I've been in 5
Yes.
in a row, participating, running, pushing. Have you done anything else besides voting, just like you said? You know, anything else besides voting?
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about writing a letter, picking up a
Email.
Postpone. Anything you can do, because just in the elections, I mean, we come down to the core 5 people that ran the election, that ran, participated, and worked. And another example of social media is that I've got one person that's been with me through all of them, and it's not 5 days in that they will crash that site with Facebook. So there's another means where they can look and understand the secrets on it and still hurt it, be rebuilt. And that's not cool. Thanks.
Yeah, but it's important to stay active. The vote's good. Gotta do that. It'll give VCDL something to work with in the general assembly. You can't necessarily pull it right out of the hat, as you saw this session. Again, it was amazing. The Democrats were really think they should never have ever done. It was a combination of Trump derangement syndrome driving the opposite side, and then our side, there were a few that didn't like, that's, but a lot of it was, well, Trump's elected. We don't need to worry anymore about gun control. Wait a minute. If you pass civics, you probably don't like civics. No, state government's got nothing to do with the president and the federal government. It's a whole different bowl of wax because
You need a fork.
You
So
got it passed.
you had something to work with.
Special dietary considerations.
I'm very excited, and I've worked at the legislature for 29 years. Things come and go, yes. And, guys, can speak to that. I would recommend this, but do not these votes. Because over these years, we have found that the hundreds, not only they weren't ready.
Yes, yes.
So you have to start early.
I'm going to end this broadcast right here. Thank you, screencast right here. Thank you very much. Andy Davis here. May Almighty God bless you and keep you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. And
Those who did, yes.
I'm going to replay this at 5. And have a great weekend. Signing off for right here at the VCDL meeting. This is Andy Havens and Give Me Liberty. God bless. Take care.
Go ahead.